Hi everybody. Okay, this video is about the film Pieces of April, made in 2003, and it was written and directed by Peter Hedges. Now, I feel like I have to say this before I start, so if I'm a little long-winded on this one, you'll understand why. But I'm gonna get into all the complexities of it as well. All right, so this film stars Katie Holmes and Patricia Clarkson in the main roles, and then there are other actors who play her family, the rest of her family. But the main plot of the story is it's kind of twofold. It's how a mother and daughter can have a different relationship than most, and if you can or cannot rebuild the bonds that should be there through time. Now, I tend to say yes, but originally when this film came out in 2003, I was in a totally different spot in my life, and I would say maybe not. And it's not that I'm being pessimistic, it's just that everybody's life and everybody's family isn't the normal traditional family, and that's fine. But a lot of films and TV doesn't highlight the different relationships of a family. All you get is the good side. You don't see the fights and the struggle and you know, the odd one out and all that stuff. Whereas this one highlights it. But also, there's many, many themes in this film. Also, I have a great affinity for Katie Holmes, always have, because I feel like I started watching her at the beginning of her career and I've seen the whole trajectory. So that's why this video might be a little long-winded also, because I'm going to talk about where she started and where she is now and where the film fits into that. Okay, so as y'all know, I think, um, she started her career on Dawson's Creek, and she played Joey Potter, Josephine, but everybody called her Joey. And a lot of people wrote and thought about her as an American teenager, you know, a good girl who would never do anything bad, that kind of thing. So when you're in that kind of role, you have two choices, I think. You can either lean into what the character is and always play that kind of role, or, and most people do this, they tend to, after they do a certain role for years, they tend to try to do the opposite to show their range. Now, guys, men, will usually do the bad boy, you know, like a really bad guy. If he was a really cookie cutter good guy, he'll do the complete opposite. And sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. But for a woman, it's really weird because they label you something, you're pretty much it until you change it up. And then even if you try to change it up, sometimes it doesn't work out. And then you have to rebuild um, your persona and your credibility, and that could be a hard climb. So, but okay. So Dawson's Creek started in 1997, ran to 2003. So right at the end of Dawson's Creek is when she decided to do this role, April, Pieces of April, as the main character. Now, okay, so I think everybody remembers what she looked like in that role, right? Long brown hair, you know. Um, and in this role, at first, when I first saw it, it took me aback for a second because she had red hair, with streaks of like purple and different colors in her hair, and in pigtails, and you know, so completely different look. And also a lot of eye makeup, a lot, which is cool, okay. But I'm just saying, completely changed from what you're used to seeing her as. And then also, she played the bad seed of the family, kind of like she was the girl who did everything wrong against her parents. Like, you know how they say to behave? She didn't strike me as that. She she was the different one, totally different, the odd duck from her family. And so, and they get into a little bit of her history, but a little bit. They say that she always dated the bad boys, and her last boyfriend before the current one was a drug dealer. That's what they say, okay? And but then it's really kind of ironic that her father stands up for her in the movie at some points, but then when he gets to her apartment, because it's in a not so nice neighborhood, they're scared and they run away and they go to another restaurant down the block. And her mother is the one who, her grandmother, I think, is supposed to have Alzheimer's in the movie, right? And there's a clarifying moment in the car because they have to take a long road trip from somewhere to New York. And in the car, all the secrets, quote unquote, come out of her mother has breast cancer, which you find that out like in different scenes also, but it's clarified in the car. And also, her mother sees her grandmother sees her mother as I don't know you because the girl I raised was kind and soft spoken and just that kind of thing. And what happened is her middle daughter, Beth, is singing very beautifully in the car. And so she says, so they're all like, bravo, encore. So she says, okay, any request? And the mother says this, I wish you would stop singing. And everyone's happy. And everybody looks at her mother for a second and says, what? Like what? And her mother, the one with Alzheimer's, says, you know, you claim to be somebody, but the person who you are isn't that. And so when they go to the restaurant, the mother goes to the bathroom and then gets out of the bathroom and spots this guy, I guess a motorcycle rider, and says, excuse me, will you give me a ride to my daughter's apartment? Then she goes there alone at first. They have a moment because she knocks on the door, and April, I feel bad for April because April had done all these things, made a dinner, had all these complications, and still made a nice dinner, made all these new friends, put up balloons, put up streamers, the whole thing. And then when she gets rejected because they're no longer there, she pops all the balloons. And then so when her mother comes back, she's not expecting it at all. So she just answers the door. And what a brilliant moment is they take a picture of her face, a still photo of her face. The shock as she opens the door is her mother. And then they have a moment where I guess kind of all is forgiven, you know? And then it goes from there. And then you see the rest of her family, and it turns out they have a really nice time, a really nice meal. So, and I have to say that when I saw this the first time, I've seen it like 3 times now. When I saw it the first time, I picked up a lot of stuff, a lot of life lessons from it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Always give people a second chance, but also don't let people run over you. Now, not having seen it in over 20 years, or a while, like a long while, I pick up different things. I still pick up some of the same things, but now I'm more angry with the family than I was the first time I watched it because I said, if if she's supposed to give you a second chance, you have to give her a second chance as well. And the fact that you dismissed her on one glance is just not right. So, um, but it actually is a film centered around Thanksgiving. So, and you could say it's a Christmas movie if you really wanted to. So I would suggest watching it. Well, you can watch it whenever you want, but like around November or late October would be good. But it's a really good film and it's really thought provoking, the kind I really like. So I really enjoy it. But I say give it a shot. Okay. All right. Bye guys.